Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, welcome to the channel. This is the R7 swapped 2023 Honda Grom, and today I'm going to be doing a review and install of MORGminimoto's quick release fasteners for the 22 and up Honda Groms. So this is basically their kit laid out on the table. First, you get the actual quick disconnect washers. It's 6 per side. I have one side already on the bike. Then you get all your hardware as far as like the lock nuts, the hardware to hold the fasteners to the plastic, and then your actual ball sockets for the quick disconnects to clip into. Then on the tool side, you get a 5mm Allen key, 2.5mm Allen key, a drill bit, an 8mm wrench, a Phillips kind of stubby screwdriver, and then you get a template to drill your holes so that you can mount the quick disconnects on your plastic. As well as they include Loctite and anti-seize in the kit. Now, some tools I'm going to be using, or that I find are helpful whenever I'm working on this thing. I always like to have a pick. There's some push pins in the actual black trim pieces underneath the fairings that are kind of tricky to get to. So I always like to have a pick. I just got a hole punch and a Sharpie so that when we get ready to use our template, either I Sharpie them or I like to use the hole punch because it gives you an actual space to put the drill bit into so it doesn't walk around all over the plastic. Then I've just got my own couple 8mm wrenches that ratchet. I don't need this, but I have my own 2.5mm Allen key. And then I am going to be using the drill for obviously the drill bit, but as well as I'll have a 5mm 3/4 drive socket. So just makes it a little bit quicker. And then I just want to give you guys a snapshot of this. You can find this on MORGminimoto's website if you Google MORGminimoto quick release fasteners for 2022 and up Honda Groms. So I'm just kind of gonna paraphrase a lot of this and show you how or what to do as we're doing it. So let me get the tool set up and show you guys what we're starting off with. All right guys, first thing first is to get all 6 of the outboard hardware off the actual fairings. So you're gonna use your 5mm Allen wrench or your 5mm drill with the Allen head on it. And this should go pretty quick. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Of course, mine are a little bit weird because they've been in and out so many times. I kind of got it down to a little bit. Well, it's not really an art. It's more or less just not caring. And there we go. And actually, that one's not even used. That was kind of a dummy plug, but I'll show it as if you guys were doing it yourselves. You got the 3 on the little triangle. Should have mentioned before that it is nice to have like a little baggie to put all your hardware in. So I think I'm going to do that and then bring you guys back for step number 2. All right guys, got our hardware in a baggie. You can set that aside to either keep or try to pawn off on some other 22 and up Grom owner. And step number 2, remove the 4 inner shroud screws using provided Morg driver number 2 bit. All right. I will actually use this tool for that. So I'll show you where this is and we'll get after it. Okay guys, the 2 inboard screws you're gonna take out are on the black trim piece going to your fairing. You got 1 lower and 1 upper. So get my screwdriver. Kind of figure out what's going on here. Yeah, good looking out. If you would have like if you didn't have a stubby screwdriver, this would be kind of hard. And that is one different thing that I did. Instead of taking these screws out, there's 2 push pins that you can actually take out that are to the gas tank cover. I just like taking it all off as one piece because most of the time I'm taking everything off anyways, and it's nice to have this black trim pieces just stay on the fairing. But anyways, there's your 2 screws, and we'll go back to the instructions. And we have our little bag for our 2 screws. We're gonna put that with the rest of our hardware, and we can go on to the next step. I'm gonna kind of try to paraphrase this and talk as I'm doing this rather than reading this all, because it's kind of hard to read. But we're gonna remove the fairing, and then we're gonna use our little drilling template and drill our holes for the hardware to mount the quick release fasteners to the actual fairings. So here we go. All right, so obviously our little triangle piece already came off. Don't have to take that off. We already got it off. Next is gonna be your main fairing. So on the stock ones, there is a clip here and a clip down here. On mine, I had to modify mine, so I don't have a clip here. I just have a clip here. And then there's a locating tab right here. So we're gonna pull out, and then up. So usually try to grab towards the back, towards the corner, and then just pop it out. And then you would pop yours out, and then it should come straight up and come out. So that's that kind of locating pin or peg, whatever you want to call it. That's where your clips are. This one's just not used for me. And there, you got it off, and your little trim panel stayed there. So we can move on to drilling our holes. Okay guys, so you got your fairings off. We got a little towel down just so we don't scratch them up. You got your main fairing and then your triangle. And you have your tools. You got your 2.5 millimeter Allen head. You have your template. Then I have a marker and a hole punch. So we're gonna marker it first and then try to hole punch that to give our drill bit that comes in the kit kind of centered up on the panel. So first things first is you take your template, you unscrew your hardware so that it's flush, not sticking out in the back. And then on the factory panels, you can see that there's actually already a hole in all of them there. The other side I already drilled out. This is take 2, but you do not want to use the factory hole. You want to go 90 degrees off that, and then 180 from where you go off that as well. So 90 degrees this way, 90 degrees that way. That'll be your holes. So first things first is to get your template and set it in there about 90 degrees off. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just don't want it to be super close to that actual factory hole. So I'm just gonna hold that there. I'm gonna get my marker, and easy peasy, you just circle it up there. And then set that down. Then we can take our template out. And what I like to do, I like to hole punch them because I don't like the drill walking around on the plastic. So I'm gonna get as close as I can to the center of that hole, or to the center of that mark, and I'm just gonna hole punch it. And all that does is put a little divot, there you can see in the reflection, just a little divot for your drill bit to sit in. So let's see if I can do this again. All right, so you just take your drill bit, get it centered up, kind of sits in that hole, and then we're just gonna kind of slowly drill our hole. And not take out my towel in the meantime, hopefully. There we go. Get rid of all the hairs. So there's your hole. You might have to clean it up a little bit if the hardware doesn't totally go in. So next is, so you had that flush, you want it just sticking out just a little bit to catch the hole you just drilled. And it should center itself up. So put it in there like that. Wait till we hear kind of like a click, maybe. Might not hear it. So we'll look in the bottom. And for some reason, I'm just shooting off a little bit today. It's just a little bit off. So we're just gonna go ahead and widen that out a little bit. I do this one from the back side. So all you do is just kind of give her some pressure towards the end. You need to make a little bit egged out. And this is not uncommon. If this happens, not the end of the world. Nope, we still gotta go some more. All right, I'm gonna cut and then I'm gonna show you guys how to drill the next one. Well, shucks guys, I didn't actually get the part or the next step recorded, so I'll show you on the black piece, but or the triangle piece. But anyways, so imagine we didn't have that hole there. We would take our hardware or our template, put our hardware just sticking out so that it catches on the hole we just drilled. Let me line it up and it should set in there, not turn. And then we would take our marker then, mark it out, which I've already done, but I think this one's gonna clean up a little bit anyways. And then we can push our hardware out, and you can screw the screw all the way down and get it to sit down flush, but I find it easier just to get it started on a couple and then push it out, because then it takes a decent amount of time to go back and forth, especially with the little Allen keys. So got it marked out, then we would take our drill and give her a drill. That would be our second hole. And then we would be able to take our template again, set it on there, get it all set up, and that would be our second hole. So that's basically set up, ready to go. And I'm gonna show you how to drill the holes on the second one, or the triangle panel, just to go over it again. Okay, and then on the triangle, I've already set my template in there and drilled my one hole. So put that in there, line it up where it doesn't move anymore. Then I'm gonna take my marker and mark my hole. Now I can pop my template out. Try to get it lined up somewhat. It's kind of hard to film this and get it close. There we are. Hole punch it. 2 times for safe measure. Got my little hole, or my divot, I should say, and drill bit in there. Got it. Going for it. And you don't have to push super hard for this either, guys. You wanna bounce the drill head off your finished piece that you actually want to be seeing. All right, now we can take our template again and stick it out just a little bit more. And this is one of those ones where it fits a little bit snug. So, all right, you can see I'm a little bit off again. This time I think I'm just going to leave the template in there and see what happens. Never mind, let's not do that. Oh man. Okay, I see. So we're just gonna give ourselves some more clearance. Alright. And again with the template. And we are spot on. Alright guys, so that's how you get the actual holes drilled for your quick disconnect washers to fit in. I'm going to clean up the rest of these, and I hope this is kind of makes sense. It gets a little tricky trying to film everything and cut between it. So I hope this makes sense to you guys. Once you get your first hole, put your template in, mark your second one, drill it, then your template again to make sure you're good with the size of your holes, and if you're off a little bit, you can make minor adjustments. So now I'm going to finish all this up, double check everything, and then we'll come back for the washers. Okay, next we are going to put some anti-seize on the washers, or we can put them on the hardware. I like to do it in the actual female threads. So that way you're not grabbing a handful of hardware with a bunch of anti-seize on the end and trying to get it lined up, and you got anti-seize everywhere. So I like to just grab a little toothpick, and this is just my own tube of anti-seize. This is actually what comes in the kit. So I just like to get some on the end of a toothpick. Plenty. You can always go back and add more. It's just a pain in the butt when it gets everywhere. So just roll that around the threads. Get a little bit more on there. And you're gonna repeat this process for all of your hardware. Gonna get it in there. And then what I like to do is just grab a rag so you don't get it everywhere when you go to put these on the actual fairings, and then just clean yourself up. Clean out the outside. Might need a little bit more, but we're gonna do that for all 6 of mine, all 12 of yours if you got the full kit. So I'll be back and we'll actually install these. So we got all our anti-seize on our quick disconnects. We have our hardware, 2.5mm Allen keys, and we have all our holes drilled for our fairings. So I'm gonna start out with the triangular piece and flip it up, or go from the back side. See your 2 holes, try to line them up with your fairing going in. And you might still have to make a little adjustments here and there. I'm seeing that I'm gonna have to, so grab my drill again. And this is definitely one of those things where you could try to get it perfect, but after all, this is a machine piece, and that little 3D printed piece is just, you know, it's not machined, it's not tolerance, so it's more than okay to go back and forth a couple times. It's looking a little bit closer. Boy, oh boy. I'm probably gonna have to speed this up because this is definitely did not have this many issues on the first set. All right, I think I'm pretty lined up. So I'm gonna grab one of my hardware pieces or my screws, kind of line it up visually, get it started. Now I can grab my other hardware or screw, and I think I'm good enough here. I think this is gonna work out. Yep, it's starting. And you just wanna get these snug. You don't wanna crank down on them. You definitely don't wanna get one of these screws stuck in there and have to extract it out. But we're just gonna give her a little snug. Second one. This part is super satisfying because you just, drilled a bunch of holes in your fairings, and now you get to look at it. Perfect. So I'm gonna complete that for all this. I will do a time lapse of this one because it's hard to keep track of filming in between. So I'm gonna time lapse it, and you guys will move on to the next step after that. All right. There's all the quick releases installed. Did have to make quite a few adjustments, but that's all right. Everything went together in the end, and it looks great. Super clean. So now we get to move on to the last step. So we're gonna go ahead and install our studs and our lock nuts. And then the blue Loctite, we really use this towards the end, but initially we're gonna wait and hold off on this because say it takes a little bit of time to get the spacing correct and get them to lock in where you want them. If that blue Loctite sets up, it is a pain in the butt because trying to hold these slippery little guys and spin the lock nut can be hard if your Loctite sets up on you. So I'm gonna set you up and we'll go through a couple of them, and then I'll do a time lapse and we'll click them together in the end. Here we go. Okay guys, onto the studs. So before you start screwing these into the plastics on the bike, you want to run down your lock nut all the way, or at least most of the way, so that you can set all these up to be kind of in their middle position. So screwed in about halfway. And on your bike, you obviously use all 6 locations. So there, you'd have one down here, which I do not have. And then on the triangle piece, you'd have one here, one on the plastics here, and then there's another arm down here by the fluid reservoir, but the fluid reservoir on your stock one is gonna be up here. So I'm gonna screw those in and I'm gonna tell you guys how to adjust them. And they're all in. I like to use or leave about a 1/4 inch on each of them. So that gives you a kind of snug fit if you're pretty close, and then it also gives you room to actually get it a little bit more snug. And I'm gonna set you back up and we're gonna try to pop them on. Here we go. Super clean look. So now we should just be able to, well, first off, make sure all of your buttons are actually pressed in the release position. And then we're gonna kind of line them up. 1 click, 2 click, 3 click. And I can kind of tell that it's a little bit, there's a little bit of a gap in the front, and then in the back it's a little snug. So I'm probably gonna screw this one in a little bit, but I think I wanna get an idea of how the whole thing's gonna sit on there. So I'm gonna go in with my main panel. This can be a little tricky because you want to get that little notch in the hole on the top, and then you also have to line up the black trim piece as well. That's why I like to take the black trim piece off, but in the directions it doesn't say that you have to do that. I might end up doing that anyways, but I'm gonna give it a try here and see where we're at. So first things first is getting it into the top so that it doesn't move forward and backwards. You get these kind of lined up. Okay, so that one already locked in. Yeah, see, this is where it becomes a little tricky, because this black piece kind of wants to push it around. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna actually take off my trim piece. I think it's just easier for my setup. So give me a second. Okay, in case you guys ever wanna, or you do wanna do this, or you need to take this part off at any point in time, there is a part that I cut off that had some more fasteners. Can't remember what those look like, but on the 2 that go to the gas tank, all they are is these push lock pins. So you press them in and then they just pull out, and it's nice to have this to press it in. Then you get the little click. It's not gonna click for me. Okay, so you get the little click, and then you can get behind it and actually pull them out. Just a little trick. So now that we got that piece off, it's gonna make lining up this kind of peg into the gas tank cover a little bit easier, because you're not going to be pushing against that black trim panel. So let's try it again. We're going to go for the top first. Get it kind of locked in there. There we go. And I can already tell that these are going to be a ways out. So first one locked in. The second one might give us some issues. I think it's just too far, but okay. Those are locked in. And on mine, I'm not using that bottom one. It is just there for looks. So that's basically them clipped in. And I'll take you off here to show you kind of what else to look for. So we already know that our triangle piece is kind of sitting out like this. So we need to tighten up that front one. The back seems almost solid, so that's perfect. The bottom could move in a little bit, but the biggest thing is getting the gas tank gap right. So on this side, I kind of did my best. I have my radiator hose that pushes against this, so this side's a little funky. Still working on it, but on this side, you can tell for your adjustments, you're all right here, but you probably need to tighten this one up a little bit, or I do. And then at the bottom. See this gap here? And it's more pronounced like in person. The camera just doesn't pick it up amazingly. So we're at a decent gap there, unlike this side where we've just got barely a little fingertip. So I'll probably do a time lapse, adjust them all, and then bring you guys back. And that's officially it. So I've got everything kind of snug. This one doesn't rattle anymore. Probably need to touch up the other side after doing this side. And then I'm fairly happy with how this fits because it does bow a little bit. So as long as this one latches, because I was having problems on that side, and everything fits up nice, that's all good. We got our length of the actual ball sockets good, or the studs I should say. So now I'm just going to take everything off, and then I'm going to do my best to hold the stud, unscrew the lock nut, then put a drop of blue Loctite, tighten up the lock nut, and then give it a good snug. That blue Loctite, once it dries, it's not going anywhere. You don't have to really wrench down on them, because remember, this is a metal fastener going on to just plastic. So it's just got to be snug enough to where it doesn't move around. So probably do another time lapse, put some blue Loctite on there, and then we'll call this a wrap. And that's a wrap, guys. Super clean look. They are super easy to unclip. Some of them are a little tight. I might have to make some adjustments in the future, but as far as right now, man, it's awesome. I just, only reason I really wanted these silver and black is because the forks, and then everything else, the frame is black. So I think it kind of just ties everything together. I suppose I'll try to get some like glamour shots, and yeah, hope you guys have a good one. And I take that back. So if you guys' trim piece was still there, you would just put in your screws. I'm gonna probably take this off again, put my screws in, and then attach it the way I do it. And then it's a wrap. All right, guys.